Hi YouTube, I'm back again, and no, I'm not pregnant, but I did do an insemination this week, so you never know, keeping hope alive, and I have my plan A and my plan B. Well, at least once a week or once every couple of weeks, I'm getting new subscribers. I guess in the single mother revolution, I'm finding more single mothers. Well, single mothers by choice. People who want to be single mother by choice, or they already are single mothers by choice. So, thank you. Thank you for reaching out to me. But, I've been asked some questions. So I think I'm going to kind of delve into one question at a time. And I wish the information was out there for me before I did all this, because I feel I had to do all this research. There was nobody making videos about this. But I'm going to start with IUI. Someone wrote in and asked me how much do IUIs cost. Now that totally depends. It totally depends if you have insurance that covers something. Okay, so let's start with if you have insurance. Okay, what does your insurance cover is the question, because not everybody's insurance covers everything. You could have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and your friend could have Blue Cross Blue Shield, but your company decided in their package they don't want to cover fertility. In certain states, they are required to cover fertility, but not all states. So, like, my health insurance covered the diagnosis of infertility, but it didn't cover any procedures to get pregnant. So they would cover like the tests and stuff, but it also hit my deductible, which is another thing you need to watch out for. Like, what is your deductible? What hits your deductible? Because that's your out-of-pocket money. And then you have to figure out, well, after, let's say your deductible's $1,000. Like, after you hit the $1,000, then what? Is it 80/20, 90/10? And usually you have to pay the 20% or you have to pay the 10%. So let's say a procedure is $1,000 and it's 80/20, you have to pay $200. So some people have that Cadillac insurance plan that takes care of everything. You know what I mean? Like the insurance from back in the day, you pay your copay and everything's paid for. That seems to be like the nicer companies, or the northern states seem to have that more than. I'm in Georgia and they don't cover shit. Mine covered testing, and when I went to the clinic, they were saying that a lot of Georgia insurances don't cover that. But granted, I had a friend who worked for DeKalb County, and her insurance covered fertility. So it's just hit or miss. Also, no insurance covers sperm. So if you're using frozen sperm, no insurance covers sperm. And I'm still not clear if you can, claim sperm on your taxes. Like, I know you can claim any medical things you pay out your pocket on your taxes, but I don't know what sperm is. I've heard people do it, and then I've heard people not do it. Since sperm is very expensive, in my opinion, I'm going to have to figure that out before I do my taxes this year. Anyways, sperm can be expensive. Like, that can be like one of your major expenses. And it also depends on where you get the sperm from. Like the major places like Fairfax and California Cryo, I mean, they could be upwards to $700 a vial. Now, to me, that's totally freaking obscene, but it can be that much. Whereas I went through Northwest Cryo Rank, which it was, I think, $300, which, is still high, but it was the lower end of the price. But I felt that they didn't have a big database, but they did basically everything California Cryo did without the bells and whistles. So it really depends on what you want, what you need, and what you're willing to pay for. My pockets weren't that deep. I already feel like I'm majorly in the hole and still don't have a baby. And that's another thing. You could do all this and still not have a baby. Yes. So you really need to think your plan, think your financial situation. Okay, so that's cover insurance. How much do an IUI cost? It totally freaking depends. I found a clinic in Boston, granted I'm not in Boston, that will stick the sperm up you for $200, whereas the major reproductive places usually cost a lot. Like, you could pay $1,400 for one IUI or something crazy, because you're paying for the overhead. You're paying for the nice building, the nice refrigeration system. You're paying for the specialist time. But if you really think about it, a midwife, a gynecologist, or any, even a nurse practitioner, damn, even yourself could stick the sperm up there. I mean, granted, when you do it, you only going through your cervix. I heard people do IUIs, but that's kind of dangerous. But I mean, any medical person can, stick the catheter in there, warm up the sperm, and stick it up there. So now it's like, well, what are you willing to pay? Well, to me, I'd first seek out the clinics that might do it cheap, like, have a small reproductive center that might do it on the low, on the cheap, opposed to going straight to the more expensive places. Now, here's the thing. You can also do it yourself. Yes, if you are Miss Do It Yourself, you can time your ovulation, get the sperm sent to your house, and do it yourself. And I've met a few people who actually got pregnant that way. They said they knew they were fertile and they timed it and got pregnant. Hey, whatever works. Now, also with the sending it to your house, you also have to think about what state you're in, because some of them states, it is against the law to do a home insemination or any insemination without a medical intervention in Georgia. Yeah, some asinine freaking rule someone came up with. But yeah, and also it could be totally free. I mean, you could go through a known donor. There's sites that'll help you find a known donor. Like one of them, I just think it's dudes just trying to have sex. Honestly, and if you're down with that, hey, if I was you, if you go to a known donor site, and it's called NI, which is natural intercourse, and then there's AI, which is artificial insemination or whatever. If you're in the NI, you're like, it doesn't matter to me. Just make sure you have his medical history. Make sure you don't have no STDs, and go for yours. But that's a free situation. You meet up. If it's AI, he hands you the sperm. I don't know if you go to the bathroom, the car, a restaurant, and you go for it. Natural, you meet up and then you have sex during your time. There's also a website for known donors, but they disagree with natural. I guess, they don't want it to be like a pervert kind of thingy. Anyways, so they're only interested in AI, which is artificial insemination, which, when you do that, you really have to think about, okay, you're involving someone else at this point. This isn't frozen sperm, so you can't always control the situation. And you need to get a known donor contract and, set up the rights and the situation the way you want it. So, all intents and purposes, if that works for you, then do it. My thing is, you need to have all your options to then decide what's best for you, what you want to do, what you feel will work for you. Now, my situation is kind of like I went backwards. I did all the testing. I did 2 IUIs with a doctor, right? And it didn't work, but I still wasn't convinced I have fertility issues, hence how I ended up with the known donor. But here's the thing. If I didn't go that way, I would have probably thought I had fertility issues. But the truth of the matter is, let's say, now I'm not 25, but let's say 2 healthy 25-year-olds are trying to have a baby. Each month, they only have a 20% chance of getting pregnant. It's not guaranteed. Yeah, you see these little slip-ups, but it's not guaranteed attempting. When I went to the reproductive endocrinologist, I saw so many 20-year-olds or whatever. Now, also, if you need medical intervention as far as fertility drugs are not cheap. There is Clomid, which is cheap, because it's like the fertility drug from the 60s or 50s or some crap. It's like one of the original fertility drugs. But, some people have, adverse effects to that. So you need to switch to something else, which might be more expensive. Also, if you want if you need shots or whatever, those are like the most expensive. And IVF can just be off the chain, which, hey, if your insurance is going to pay for it, I would go for it. But there's also lifetime caps too. Like, you cannot indefinitely have 10 IVFs or 20 million IUIs. Like, most insurance get a lifetime cap. After you hit that cap, they're not paying anymore. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have any more questions, please put them down. I probably got 3 more videos based on various questions. So if that was helpful, let me know. Hit like. Or if did I miss something? Is there something you want to know more about? Let me know. Bye, YouTube.